Actually, we have to also address the other issue that came through, which was the government increasing the windfall tax on crude oil production to 1,600 rupees a ton. Now, remember, this increase in windfall tax comes in after a gap of 2 months. Probal Sen, the energy analyst at ICICI Securities, joins us now to talk more about that. Probal, good morning and thanks for waiting by. Will this move the needle at all?
I think the government has been very proactive in terms of changing the windfall tax in line with the way that crude prices have been moving. I mean, if you look at literally from July of 22 through to now, where this $2.7 a barrel roughly windfall tax has been imposed, the net realization for the OMCs has actually remained there or thereabouts between $75 to $76. So while it is obviously, it takes away some of the profits that maybe ONGC and Oil India have been making over the last, couple of months, the fact is that their net realization is still at about the target level that the government had earlier spoken about. And this is still definitely well above the last 7 to 8 year average realizations that they did, barring, FY23. So I would think that while it moves the needle, it doesn't really change. I don't think the street is building in anything more than $73 to $75 in any case. And I think even with this tax, the realizations remain at that level.
Morning, Probal. What are you factoring in terms of crude oil prices for the remainder of this year? Is there an upside to that level that you're looking at?
For the net realizations for ONGC or Brent levels?
Yeah, Brent levels. And you could also give us ONGC realizations, yeah.
Right. So, as I said, ONGC and oil realizations, we continue to build in somewhere between $73 to $75. We do believe that the Brent level, and it's very unlikely that crude prices themselves would, fall below that level. That's the first assumption. As far as Brent levels are concerned, our sense is that, if you look at the supply situation today and the kind of demand estimates that still are there for CY23, anywhere between 1 million barrels a day to about 2 million barrels a day, depending on who you speak to. The fact is that crude prices should actually rise up a little bit from here. But I also do not expect that there would be a huge rally because, the Chinese demand momentum continues to remain weaker than what people estimate. And, even in the US, there are still significant concerns with respect to when they come back to start building their inventories.
Probal, hi, good morning. Any thoughts on Reliance from here? I'm sure you're getting a lot of queries, interest around that name. It's done well recently. There is lots of triggers coming up, right? Jio Financial Services, the record date for that. Retail, we've got some idea about valuation, at least how Reliance is valuing that entity. Your thoughts?
No, I think with Reliance, obviously there's a lot of news flow that has been happening, and we're still trying to understand the impact on the Jio Financial Services on the overall valuation. The fact is that, the treasury investments that have been actually transferred were not really been given too much value earlier. So to that extent, that straight away adds an element of, an incremental valuation to the numbers. We are reviewing our estimates, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't want to comment too much on what our SOTP valuations are. But I think with the AGM speech also coming up, with the extinguishing of minority stake in retail and providing a new benchmark pretty much for what the retail segment is to be valued at, and the financial services, I think there's obviously going to continue to remain a fair amount of interest in the story over the next 12 months.
Is the value for Jio Financial Services in the ballpark of 150 to 200 rupees a share?
Yeah, if you were to look at the net worth that was published for FY22, as well as the kind of value of the treasury investments, and you pulled in a holdco discount of anywhere between 20-25%, roughly, yes, around 150 to 160 rupees is the potential addition at this point of time to the SOPs.
So one last question then. What's the house view on the oil and gas space overall now? And what are the top picks in this sector for the next, say, 12 to 18 months?
We are fairly positive. I think after the kind of year that FY23 was, our sense is that FY24 will be a much stronger year from an earnings perspective. Our sense is that, the OMCs in particular are going to probably lead the way in terms of the kind of change in earnings prospects. As I mentioned earlier, even ONGC and Oil India both have decent amount of production, increase in store alongside realizations, which while down from 23 will still be higher than historical averages. And for gas space also, the kind of changes that the government has done, plus the moderation in spot LNG prices are both positives. So on an overall level, we continue to remain positive, specifically on HPCL and BPCL in the OMC space. ONGC and Oil India both in upstream, and IGL and MGL would probably be the preferred picks in the CGD space. So those 6 names are the top preference at this point of time.
Okay, all right, Probal, thanks so much for stopping by, giving us your view, wishing you a good day ahead, and give the kids a big hug from our side as well.